All right, there we go. All right, welcome everybody to the, what is it, July 17th Cloud Events Serverless Working Group call and X Registry call. All right, let's jump into here. Let's see. 6, who just joined? Remy. All right, Remy. Cool. Hold on. All right. John, did you want to talk about your things today or hold off a little longer?
Happy either way. It's really have folks had a chance. So we've got Clemens but not Gem, um, which for the conformance repair, I definitely haven't done anything on .NET yet. So first of my action item reminders is definitely not doing anything. It would be the conformance repo, and I don't know whether anyone's had a look. I know Gem did like 2 years ago, but if anyone has looked and would like to discuss it now, that's great. Otherwise, happy to punt again. We'll
Okay,
get
let's do this. Okay, let's do this then. I know you said you need to leave early, so let's get through the stuff we have to get through, and if we have time, then we can see how people feel about it after that. All right. So first off, in the CNCF landscape map, right there, X registry. Woohoo! Just so
Ah,
you know, I
neat,
know it's
wonderful.
so exciting. Yes, we are official sandbox project, even on
And
the web
and
page.
Doug was agonizing over which area we should be in
Yes, and I
with
thought
this,
your
and
reasoning was
I said just pick the upper left box.
yeah, because all the other options really weren't even on the main page. So that won
I
the
was
day.
like,
Says yes, at least we're there visible. We're above the fold, as they say. Yes.
yes. I'm like, yep, absolutely right there.
And it does stand out a little because everybody's icon is slightly smaller than ours. So there you go.
Yeah. No,
Okay. Anyway,
I do. So thank you for not burying it in the no in the fifth row at the bottom.
yes, very exciting. All right, let's jump into it.
Do we
So
get
Remy,
stickers now?
actually, I'll ask, but I don't think we get stickers anymore automatically like we did with cloud events. I
Okay.
think they had more money back then, but I will
Okay.
ask
Understand.
if I remember. So Remy, I took a look at your stuff. I think there's just one minor change. I think you need to capitalize a should. Other than that, I think this thing's ready to go.
Okay, let's maybe I can quit now. No.
Yeah, go ahead. So anybody else in the call? So Remy updated our GitHub adapter because they have a whole bunch of new events that are now being generated. So he filled out all of the tables that we have, or he created new tables for all the new events with all the recommendations for how to fill in all of the CE attributes based upon the event data itself. Does anybody want more time to review this? Otherwise, we will. If yes, that's fine. It's been sitting there for a while, so we're not in a hurry. But if no one wants more time or needs more time, then we might as well just go ahead and vote on it. This document is not as official as a specification. It's more like an extension spec, which means we can make changes any time that we need to. It's not like it's set in stone or gets a version number, just so you know. So does anybody want more time to review it, or are they comfortable possibly voting approving today once we get the should made uppercase? Okay. In that case, Remy, let me know when you're done and we will do that. So let's mark, let me just make it official. Does anybody object to approving it conditionally with the should change? Okay, cool. Excellent. And thank you, Remy, for doing that. I really appreciate it. All right, next. So I don't know, I should know this, I apologize. I'm sure the OS part of FOSA stands for open source. I'm not sure what the rest of it stands for, but they're either a sub thing under Linux Foundation or they're closely related to Linux Foundation, but they have a license scanning tool, which as part of being a sandbox project, we now need to have as part of our normal CI/CD process thing. So I think FOSA as well as Sneak, I think was the other one that had one. And I just randomly picked one. And so we now have a license scanning tool as part of the X registry stuff, just to make sure we have the proper licenses. And I need to add a link to the project that we have over there that monitors our repos. So that's all this thing is about. It's just licensing tool setup. Lots of miscellaneous typos type stuff. In terms of semantic changes, actually not much of a semantic change, it's a syntax change. We had a whole bunch of query parameters like no epoch or no read only. Thank you. Freedom open source software analysis. Interesting. When did we get analysis? Okay. Anyway, we had a whole bunch of query parameters like no epoch that start with the word no as a way of telling the server, hey, don't do your epoch checking. Don't do your read-only checking for resources or whatever it may be. Lila pointed out that no probably isn't the best word there. She suggested using the word ignore. So we double checked, and even though it is a change, it's a minor syntax change. Anybody who's all the implementations that we know about are able to make the change easily through just a simple search and replace kind of a thing. So we decided to do a rename there. Not a semantic change, it's a syntax change for a query parameter. That's one change. The
If
other
I may,
is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
like the only thing with that rename is like as a human, I think when you have like ignore epoch, the double E is
I know.
like it's a bit
You,
annoying.
it is, but I think we have like 6 or 7 flags. Um,
Yeah, it's
so
there.
yeah, I mean, if you could think of a better word than ignore, we'll definitely consider it because we have time to change it. So let me know if you could think of a better word. But I agree with you. Double E in that one case is a little bit awkward.
Yeah, the
Uh,
thing is that you will always have a case where there is a double.
yeah, if it was only one query parameter, then I'm sure we could find a better word. But I think we have, I think, 5 or 6 at least. So,
Yeah.
okay.
So it depends.
Okay. So we have a spec version field in the X registry serialization that it's a little bit similar to Cloud Events. Right? It tells you what version of the spec the server is adhering to. Um, however, we didn't have any language in there that talked about how to do string compares of that value. In particular, because you can actually ask for a particular spec version as a query parameter on a GET request. Or on a put request as well, I should say. And we just say, hey, if you support that version number, then great. If not, generate an error. Well, we realized that we probably should have similar kind of language in X registry that we do in Cloud Events that says, hey, not all version and string parts matter, right? Obviously, major version, that's very important. But it wasn't clear whether minor version or patch version should matter as part of that string comparison thing. So we decided to say the patch version number should never matter. And what we're going to do is say, okay, patch versions never have semantic changes. Those are always for typos and things like that. Okay. A minor version, though, that can have a semantic change because there very well may be code related to that change. And for that reason, when you do a string compare, it's always going to be minor and major version to see whether you support it or not, ignoring patch. However, if it does end in a suffix like release candidate 1, like I have highlighted here, and Clement, I don't think we talked about this offline during a meeting, but I think the release candidate 1 part needs to be taken into account because a lot of things can change between release candidates.
Yeah,
So I
that's
don't
true.
think so I don't think we can ignore that part. So basically it's just the patch version number changes or is ignored. Suffix and major and minor version, those are taken into account. Any questions about that? Cool. Any questions about any of this stuff? Okay, John, I haven't noticed any emails flying by, but anything from your side, maybe your quick review that you may have
No,
done.
I was looking through, but I don't think I've left a single comment yet. So no, it's
Perfect.
all good.
Okay, if you please keep going if you have time. We can obviously pick up any comments you have in the next PR for next week. So obviously it's not a big deal if you come in late with it. All right. Any objection to approving? Cool. Thank y'all. And in case you're wondering, yes, the review still is going on. Lila was the only really good person to finish their job on time. The rest of us are late. Let's do this one first, just because I think might be actually the more interesting one. So, what was his name again? Your something. Hold on. Yortis. Okay. Yeah, Yortis is proposing that we add an extension, so it's not as critical as a optional parameter as part of this core spec. He wants to add an extension that it defines correlation ID and causation ID, where causation ID attribute is present to give you a unique identifier for the reason that this particular event was generated, correlation ID is an attribute that tells you in the bigger context which event or why was this event created. And the example he gave is, let's say it's part of a larger workflow. That's the example he gave. It's not just for workflows, but that's the example he gave, and that resonated with me. So there's two levels. It's the immediate thing for this event, and then what is this event part of in terms of a bigger picture kind of thing. Both are optional, so you can use them interchange one versus the other. You don't have to use one with the other, and that's it. So let's pause there and start with a high order bit. Do we want to reopen this issue and consider this at all before we get into the details of what he wrote? And I know, Clemens, you started scanning it a few minutes ago. Any thoughts?
I don't think it's. I think it's not an unreasonable thing to have.
Okay.
Especially because it's kind of identifying lineage, and it's identifying kind of events that belong together. It is somewhat close to the open telemetry context model thing. And
is that a good or a bad thing, though?
Yeah, I do wonder whether the basically the open telemetry kind of creates these correlation chains, but just for a different purpose.
Does that create? You use the word you use the word chain there, and that's always the way I thought of OTel, right? I always thought of it as more like a tracing mechanism, and this feels
it's a
different to
tracing
me.
mechanism.
Okay.
It's a tracing mechanism. Yeah, I'm not. It's an expansion. It's an extension. I think we have a sequence number thing that is just as simple, and so I think I'm fine with it. It's simple enough.
Okay.
And it says that there are two complementary mechanisms, which means that they can live, that you can use them independently or together. So I think there's no harm in having a convention.
Okay. Cool. Does anybody else have any thoughts on this? Just at the highest level of, do we want to even consider it?
My thoughts are generally that if Clemens is okay with it, then I'm okay with it. I have no additional information.
John,
okay.
That is very unlike you. I'm disappointed.
But the check from Clemens to John is in the mail. So I got it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that he basically just because of that, whatever Clemens says, good. That just is not. That
maybe I wonder if that's the first time in history Google said yes, we will defer to Microsoft.
Yeah, we're not. I don't think we're at that corporate level.
Okay. Anyway, again, let me rephrase the question differently. Does anybody have any objection to heading this direction? Okay, not hearing anything, so we'll go that path. Is it too soon to vote on this? I'm inclined to let it sit one more week now that we're taking it seriously, so people can review it more thoroughly.
Yeah, we can let it sit one more week if you like.
Okay. All right. Okay, in that case, let's do this. Whoa, what am I doing? Wrong one. Here. All right, cool. Thank you all. All right, next one. John, I think this one may be more directed towards you than anybody else. Did you get a chance to look at this one?
I have looked at it just now. It's a breaking change. No, we're not doing it. Even ignoring all of the we could. I haven't looked in detail at what it's trying to achieve. Yes, it's got specific attributes instead of and then extensions are separate, which I can sort of see the point of, but as you pointed out, that's kind of against the way that we were trying to do things. Um, but it's a breaking change. Why would we do that without, this could be in the bucket of, well, if we do V2, then maybe.
So let me ask you this. What was it? I think Avro, we have two different flavors of Avro. Would it ever make sense to do that same kind of thing for protobuf? Have two different flavors of protobuf, or is that just going to confuse people?
Um,
Assuming this is a good thing to do at all. I'm just that I don't know about either.
I think I would need like the cost of having two different proto formats is non-trivial.
Yeah.
People are going to get confused. It's not going to be obvious which is which. I seem to remember that Avro is self-describing in a way that Proto isn't. So if you get a Proto message of a cloud event, you better know whether it's Proto X or Proto Y. Um, it feels like we don't have hordes of people saying, well, I want to use it, but I can't because this is so terrible. It's not worth paying.
Okay, cool. I think Clement, I think Remy, you said you agree with John. Does anybody else have an opinion on this one?
I do think
Okay.
this is like for if we ever get to a V2 where we need to, at least my view is if we get to V2, we should try to work out how we could add optional core context attributes within a 2.1. And if that may well tilt the balance away from this whole, well, extensions look just like optional core attributes because we can add them later. And we should consider everything again
Hmm.
at that point. But
Yeah.
until we get to that point, which may well be years away if it ever happens, I wouldn't want to take this.
Okay. So can you do me a favor? Could you respond back to him with your concern about it being a breaking change? And
I will try to do so. I'm shortly going on vacation, but I will put a calendar reminder to do so at some point.
thank you very much. Okay, now the next question is, let's assume for a minute that we're going to say, okay, yep, John is right. We should save this for a potential V2. Um, from a process perspective, I'm trying to figure out whether it makes sense to close this and create some doc someplace that just lists out all the V2 things to think about, or whether it makes more sense to just tag this with V2 and keep it open.
I would
Um,
say rather than keep the pull request, um, I would rather have. I think having a doc of these are the things we want to think about for V2 is good because it avoids us building up hundreds of issues potentially.
yeah.
But instead of if we don't do that, then turning it into an issue instead would be more sensible.
Okay. Yeah, I like the idea of a separate doc because I don't want our list to be too long. Now we can
Exactly.
point to a closed issue from that doc, which is probably be good. But yeah, okay, tell you what, let me do this.
And we can point to
Yeah,
the closed PR without bothering
exactly.
to create an issue first.
Exactly, right. Yeah, but I like our to-do list to be small, which is how I view the issue list and PR list. John will um, cool. And I will take that action item. Excellent. All right. So that's that. Clemens is doing that. Okay, these are just me nagging people. Okay, before we potentially go back to this conformance repo thing, does anybody have any other topics they'd like to add to the agenda for today? Okay, in that case, John, your choice. Do you want to talk about conformance repo or not?
Um, has anyone had a look at it so would be doing anything other than trying to desperately understand what I was trying to do in live time. Because there's I think I've got under, if you scroll up, because that root isn't my stuff. So this is a branch that I've got, but if you scroll up under format,
Format.
there, yeah, that's got a README that goes into some details of what it's trying to do, etc. So I would say it's worth people at least reading that, and maybe we could update the link in the agenda to refer to this specific bit rather than just the branch.
Yeah.
And then, yes, please, folks, read it. If anyone has, then we can talk for 7 minutes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read it, but it was so long ago, I don't remember anything about it. So
And I think that's going to be the case
Yeah.
for others as well.
yeah. So let's do that. Let's do this. Let's do that. Okay. And so, yeah, please, everybody, for next week's call, when you get a chance, or if you get a chance, please go ahead and review that. That way we can get that off of John's to-do list. All right. Cool. Thank you, John. All right. Once again, any other topics we want to bring up? Otherwise, we will adjourn early. Right. We are done then. Okay. Everybody, thank you. Have a good rest of your week and weekend, and we'll talk next Thursday.